Morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of Market Movers, we will be taking a look on the prospects of S&P 500, which is struggling closer to the resistance levels of 3,100. For last almost week, we saw it continuing to trading in range after reaching these levels above 3,000, and now it is looking like that. It might even break on the downside, so we will see if we can exploit this situation to our advantage. If you consider the mood in the equity segment, it is kind of on the shaky ground as we are continuing to see the coronavirus cases rise, and again, even in the countries in which the outbreak was getting controlled, we are seeing fresh cases. The number of cases reported are on the rise, and that is giving rise to a fear of second wave, and that has put a break on the recent rally which we have seen in the equity segment. And if you consider the major equity indices for the day, particularly in the European trading session, then most of these are lower by half a percentage point to almost 1 percentage point. And now, as the US session has got underway, we are seeing some momentum, and there the movement is kind of zigzag as we saw in the earlier minutes, the move on the downside, and then now those losses are evaporating as well. So we will need to see how these things stabilize, and of course our job is to figure out the levels on which we can think about going in for a fresh position. So we will do that as we consider the technical analysis. Now going back to the data docket, we got the People's Bank of China, the which is a central bank for China. It has left its interest rates, the loan prime rate, and for the 1 year as well as the 5 year, no change has been made. And the 1 year prime rate LPR stands at 3.85%, whereas the 5 year rate is at now 4.65%. So there has been no change, and China has been one of the well performing country, and some of the, as you can see, even most of the economic activity is coming back, and we are seeing uptick there. So the Central Bank of China has adopted the wait and watch approach for the time being, and it will evaluate the situation as it unfolds. And just a week back, it had announced the additional liquidity measures, the 1 year medium term lending facility, and in which it had pumped in Chinese yuan 200 billion. So we have this announcement, and now this time around in this meeting, there has been no change. So that is, I think, will be adequate enough to meet the current requirements. We also got the euro area's consumer confidence number, and here the decline continues, but the magnitude of decline is lesser this time. And now, as you can see, it is just that better than the expectation at 14.7% for the June, but still, any decline in the consumer confidence is not a good sign for the economy. So, unless and until we see this decline, which has been going on for almost 3 to 4 months now, so that should abate, and only when the consumer confidence will start to rise, we will see the economy picking up in a true sense. Now, moving on to the technical outlook, we will cover the S&P 500 and the USD/JPY. Starting with the S&P 500's technical outlook, as I said, the S&P 500 has been struggling closer to these 3,200 levels. Here we saw that in the prior week, this high was established closer to 3,200, and then there's a swift fall, and then again it tried to retrace its fall, but in past week we saw it consolidating in a very tight range. And as I said, we in today's session we also had a gap open, but that gap has been filled now, and for the time being the S&P 500 is approaching 3,100 zone, and I think this move on the upside is actually welcome move for us, as we will get the opportunity for us to get involved. And I think just looking at the 4 hourly chart, we will have a clear cut idea that we have this resistance into play at around 3150 level. So I think if we get any short selling opportunity anywhere close to that level, would be an opportunity to count on it. And here now the S&P 500 is moving on the higher side. I think we can indeed target a fresh entry anywhere close to 3120 to 3130. And as I said, a stop loss can be kept just closer to this first resistance of this month's pivot point series, and I think that should do well. If we are looking at the confirmation factors, then we have this first resistance of this month's pivot point series, as well as we have this regression curve which is now bending on the downside. So taken together, we have these medium term factors which are pointing to the flattening of the momentum which we have seen in the S&P 500. And now I think it is more likely to spend the time in consolidation, with the buyers being remaining on the bearish side. So if that is going to happen, as we have this resistance zone, this confluence of 50, 100 and 200 SMAs coming into play around 3120 level, I think any entry anywhere close to these 3120 to 30, as I said while explaining the 4 hourly chart as well, would serve our purpose. And here the stop loss will be just a little above this immediate swing high. So any stop loss in the vicinity of 3160 should be good enough. And here we have this opportunity and the headroom as well, at least till 2940, which is the immediate swing low. So suppose if things go well in our favor, then we have this downside of almost 60 to 70 points, whereas the risk we are taking is going to be of 30 to 35 points on the upper side. So even from the conservative perspective, we have got a risk reward ratio of 1 is to 2. And after this struggle for almost 4 days, I think if we get a break, then it shouldn't take much time for these levels to be reached. So from that perspective as well, it looks promising enough. And we can indeed take a bet. Of course, the stop loss will need to be placed, and then the target price as well. Things work out. If things work out, then of course we will be making twice the reward of the risk which we are taking. Now moving on to the SN USD GPU's technical outlook. Here this is the daily time frame chart, and as you can see in the USD GPY as well, the momentum has been on the lower side, but the movement has been pretty range bound. And here you can even consider it as a consolidation after this swift fall from the levels close to 110 to almost 106. So here this shouldn't really be surprising. And after this due consolidation, we can try to exploit the situation to our advantage. If we see a break on the either side, so we will evaluate the situation from both the perspective, the break on the lower side as well as from the upper side. But of course, let me remind you that the momentum, the longer to medium term momentum, is on the side of seller. So here I feel that it will be better if we continue to stick with a short selling position, and see if we can get a fresh entry even after this swift fall of almost more than 300 pips. Of course, we have this 61.8% Fibonacci expansion of its prior fall, but if we get a break below that, then I think we are pretty much headed closer to this 100% expansion. And of course that will take time. I'm not really saying that we will see it happening in just a couple of days, but that opportunity, that possibility is going to become much stronger if we get a fresh break below this immediate swing low. And now coming to the 4 hourly chart, here we have this central pivot point of this month's pivot point series around 107 level. It is the level which is going to act as a crucial marker for us while deciding whether to go long or whether to go short. And as you can see, this decline has been pretty sharp and swift, and as a result of that, this regression curve has also bent sharply on the lower side, and now the price action has of course entered into this upper band, but still the momentum remains on the selling side, and I think after this due consolidation we can indeed try to think about going in for a fresh short selling opportunities with the immediate target coming out around 106.6, which is also its support of this month's pivot point series. And if we are going to target that, I think from the medium term perspective, any entry closer to this central point would be an ideal bet, but we are not exactly closer to that central pivot point, which we are kind of caught in between. So we will now need to be relying on the hourly time frame here to see if there is anything which we can exploit. And the thing is that we have this consolidation going on in the pretty tight range, and as you can see, the area closer to 107.10 has been acting as a strong resistance zone, and even in today's session we had this brief move above 107 levels, and then that upward momentum gave up equally fast, and now again we are seeing USD approaching toward this 106.80 level, which is also close to its immediate swing low. And if we have a break, then I think most probably we will be seeing the establishing of a fresh swing low below this immediate swing low, and I think the levels close to 106.6 will open up to be targeted. So here, watch out for this 107.10 to 107 area. Any short selling opportunity in that price band is to be lapped up, and I feel any stop loss closer to 107.30 would be good enough. So if we are taking a risk of around 20 to 30 pips, then on the lower side we can target at least 40 to 45 pips, and that will give us a risk reward ratio of 1.5, not exactly 2. And if suppose if the momentum is strong, then I think we can think about continuing in our position. But since the price action has been pretty range bound, I'm not really betting on a big move here, but as the things stand, we can indeed take our chances to think about going in for a fresh short sale anywhere close to the immediate swing high area, and then targeting the lower swing low. And this time around, given the formation is of lower highs, I think we are kind of due for a fresh swing low, and that also bolsters my confidence in the USD GPY trade. So that's it from my side for today's session. Before signing off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and also one should be fairly careful while using the information provided. Have a fabulous day ahead. Tomorrow and the day after that, I will be taking off, and many of you as well. So we will see each other on the Thursday only. Have a fabulous time ahead. Goodbye.